everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I thought I'd quickly run through all of my watercolour supplies, and I will be writing down all the products that I'm mentioning in today's video in the description below, and I'll be leaving lots of links of where you can buy them all if you're in the UK or in the US. So if you want to buy any of these products, then make sure you check out the description. So the first thing I'm talking about is the paint that I'm using, and the watercolour set that I use is by Winsor & Newton and it's the professional set. But if you don't have as much money, then there's a slightly less expensive one called the Cotman set, and this is meant to be really good as well, so that's just as good if you want to start out with watercolours but you don't have too much money. But the ones that I'm using are the professional watercolours, and I always like to take the palette out of the tin and then use it by the side of my drawing so it's easier to get to the paint. So the next thing I'm talking about is the paper that I used, and the paper that I love for watercolours is the Arches hot pressed watercolour paper, and I used the weight £140, and this is such good high quality watercolour paper. And what I love about this is that I use it as well for my coloured pencil drawings, so it's really good, so you don't have to buy two different types of paper because this is really good for watercolours and also for your drawings as well. So this is really good. It's a bit more on the expensive side, but it's such good quality paper and it doesn't warp or buckle as much as other watercolour papers I've tried do. What I like about this as well is that it comes in a block, so it's glued on all four sides, which means that you can paint right on it, and it helps to avoid warping as well, so I really like that. And it's also available in lots of different sizes, so I definitely recommend trying out this paper. So next is the paintbrushes that I used, and for watercolours I like to use the Aquafine paintbrushes by Daler and Rowney, and these are such good quality and they weren't that expensive at all, so they were really good quality and were quite cheap, which is really good if you're just starting out with watercolours but you want high quality brushes but at an affordable price. This is a really good option for you guys. So you can see with the littler brush that the casing has come off a bit, but this is my fault because I didn't take care of it as well as I should have. So that wasn't really the product's fault, it was more my fault for not taking care of the paintbrushes very well. So the next supply is something that I get asked about all the time, and especially when I'm doing my watercolour backgrounds and I keep the main subject completely free of paint. People ask, how do I do that? What do I use? So this is what I use, and it's the masking fluid by Daler and Rowney, and it is really inexpensive and it is such a good masking fluid and it really gets the job done and it is very cheap. So out of all of my products I definitely recommend getting this one because it's so inexpensive and it will make your life so much easier. So make sure you check out the description to see where you can buy the masking fluid. It just saves so much time because you don't have to worry about getting paint on your main subject when you're doing the background, so you can be really messy with it and you can also get really cool effects as well. One thing to mention is that when you're using this, make sure that you don't use your really expensive brushes, just use a cheap brush because it does clog it up a bit, so make sure you don't use your expensive brushes. So now on to what I use for highlights. So with watercolours I like to use two different things to do my highlights. So first is the Winsor & Newton Designer's Gouache, and I use the colour Permanent White. This is really opaque and it also mixes with the watercolours really well as well if you want to lighten up certain colours. And also I like to use the Sakura White Jelly Roll pen, and this is like a white gel pen and it's really good to get highlights as well, and it goes over the watercolours really nicely. So it's good to get really tiny white details. And I especially like to use this to create a very glittery technique as well. So next is the palette that I like to use, and this is by Daler and Rowney and it's just a plastic palette. And if you have bought watercolours in a tin, then you can just use that for your palette. But if you just want another separate palette, then this is really good because it's really cheap and it's also plastic, so it's easy to wash as well. So when I do my watercolour paintings, I really like to tape down the paper so that it helps avoid the buckling and warping. So to do this, I really like to use the Scotch Magic Tape because it's clear, it helps get a really crisp edge, and it's really inexpensive as well. And what I like to do is I like to buy it in this box of 14 so that it lasts me forever. So all I've had to do is buy that one box of 14, and because you've bought in bulk, it was a lot cheaper, and I'm still going through all of that. So my last supply is some water brushes, and I really like to use the Pentel water brush. I also just use 2 jars for water, and I also use a paper towel or some tissue to blot off the paintbrushes if I need to. Anyway guys, that's all of my watercolour supplies. Make sure you check out the description box to see where you can buy all these supplies if you want to. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and found some new supplies to try. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!